Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Each week we recap and review one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes randomly selected by Roundhouse Roulette. I'm Evan Dalton, here with my brother Adam.
Yo, what's up?
And our fellow Irish rock band member, Mr. Bob Leahy.
Tea-lily.
Well, we'd like to thank you all for joining us as we revisit Chuck Norris's exploration of his Irish heritage. Today we'll be recapping and reviewing Season 4, Episode 13, Flashpoint, where the Rangers find themselves fighting against Irish assassins hell-bent upon murdering an Irish advocate for peace. But before we jump into our spy van and review grainy footage of 90s TV stars, join us as we pull up a stool at CD's Bar and Grill. Fancy meeting you guys here. What's going on?
Not much, Evan.
Jeez.
Oh.
It's a real shame this ain't the St. Patrick's Day episode, eh?
'Tis a shame.
Our dad sent us this pizza recipe that I've made a few times. Have you tried that yet, Evan?
I haven't had a chance to. Had my oven pulled out away from the wall for quite some time. I've been redoing the backsplash in our kitchen.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, I was like really excited to make it, and I made the dough, and I'm like, oh, pizza tonight. And it's like, let the dough sit in the refrigerator for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then they're like, when you're ready to make it, let it sit for 3 hours. So you can't even be like, I'm kind of hungry, let's make a pizza. I'll wait 3 hours. I guess I'll order a pizza.
I'm going to be hungry tomorrow. I'm going to make a pizza today.
Exactly. I mean, pretty much you should just have the dough ready to go, because who's not going to want a pizza at any given point?
It's true.
I don't know if I mentioned last week, but I went through the basement. I've been trying to Craigslist a bunch of stuff to get some extra cash. And
Yeah, like Evan's bike.
Yeah, come on, man.
No, dude, no. Evan, I mean, I didn't know it was your bike.
Well, you knew it wasn't yours, I guess.
You thought it came with a house?
Possession is like 10/10 of the law. You know, is what I've
I
heard.
remember you sold your bike at a yard sale like 25 years ago. It was
How do you remember that?
It was a gray and pink Huffy. You don't forget that thing.
You try to forget it, and thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, so I was like, I got enough money to get the good mozzarella thanks to some of the stuff I sold. And Evan, you know, when the folks dropped off all my stuff here in Nashville in a U-Haul trailer, I just remembered that bike as being mine. And I pulled it off that U-Haul and put it in the garage and sold it on Craigslist for a cold $50.
So here's the real question. They brought that down like 3 years ago. So it's just been sitting there and you haven't used it, I'm sure.
Well, that's why I sold it.
Okay. So you got the good mozzarella, like with buffalo milk, the real deal?
He was actually had an Irish accent. I don't know why when he sold it to me, but you know, he was selling it out of his truck, so it would look legit. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why I brought that up, but yeah, so that's what I've been doing. What have you guys been doing?
Sitting inside, looking at the computer screen.
Evan, have you been just marinating over the fact that I sold your bike?
No, not really.
You've just been stewing and just been like, oh man, that cold $50 cash could have been mine, man.
I could use it for sure. Why don't you send that up?
Even if I had the bike, Evan, you're going to come drive to Nashville to pick it up? It's not even worth the drive.
Dude, you're like you're like the Nashville consignment shop.
Well, it was here for 3 years. No one claimed it.
I don't know where it was.
Once that 3-year timer went off, you went,
Who would ever assume that Adam would have my bike? No, this week I've been working on that backsplash, so I've been becoming a DIY expert on tiling.
Oh, wow. How's the kegerator coming along? Is that the next thing you're going to be doing?
I haven't got that set up yet. But if I did, maybe we'd put this week's brewski in it.
What does CD have on tap for this week?
This week CD is dishing out a MIM double IPA from the Barrel Brewing Company in Derry, New Hampshire.
What does the Bar and Grill draft menu say?
They state that this light-colored, soft double IPA expresses major mosaic and galaxy hops, and it's named after the brewer's loving mother. Well, you guys ready to meet the mother galaxy?
Let's travel.
Tastes like someone dropped some alcohol in my glass of orange juice.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm into this one. This one's good.
These guys do good work. What's the ABV on this? I think this is a little stronger. As is tradition, I sent you guys all like ridiculously high
You're trying to
alcohol.
knock us out.
I was psyched to see that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
This puppy's 8.9, so we're going to be on the floor by the end of this.
Yeah, this one might get a little sloppy about halfway through.
It's going to help with the flow of this episode. But I see what they say about a soft double IPA because, again, it doesn't taste too aggressive.
Yeah.
It's smooth. You taste the fruit, and I'm just swimming in a galaxy of hops for sure.
All right. It's pretty deep.
Well,
So what do we got in the mailbag?
well, I figured first we'd hit the headlines. What's going on here?
There's a pretty significant one.
Yeah, and it's funny. Our father emailed us a clip of Jimmy Kimmel talking about how people claim that Chuck Norris was at the U.S. Capitol riot and that it was just a lookalike. And Kimmel was like, yeah, you know how you know it wasn't him? He's 80 years old. The only thing he's rushing is the bathroom at 4 a.m.
Were they trying to look like Chuck Norris, or did they just happen to?
Scroll down. This
it's in
guy
here.
looks a ton like Chuck Norris.
Oh, wow. That guy definitely thinks he's
Oh, yeah,
standing
he
next to
tagged
Chuck
his
Norris.
post, the insurrectionist tagged his post that he was with Chuck Norris, and that's why it went viral. And then obviously everyone's going through every single photo from that too, every federal agency and amateur sleuth. So, plus the guy, he's amping it up. He's got a Texas tie on.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he definitely looks a lot like him just naturally, but then he's got a very trimmed beard, similar hair, and the bolo.
He's playing it up for the crowd. I actually saw another photo of someone else who took a selfie with this guy. So he clearly was allowing it to happen and allowing people to believe that he was Chuck Norris.
Which is totally uncool, and asking to get your ass whooped by the actual Chuck Norris.
Right. Yeah, don't mess around with that.
He may be 80 years old, but he could still kick this guy's ass, for sure.
Definitely.
I would also say that Chuck Norris, if he were there, would never be seen.
Definitely not. Definitely not. But Chuck Norris, he had to come out and do a statement because it got so much press that he was potentially at the Capitol riot. And he says, it has come to my attention that unfortunately there was a Chuck Norris lookalike at the D.C. Capitol riots on January 6th. It wasn't me, and I wasn't there. Let me be clear that there is no room for violence or any kind in our society, including the context of political protests. A peaceful transition of power is fundamental to our democracy system of government. I am and always will be for law and order. Your friend, Chuck Norris. And he put that up on his social media. And I shared that around too, because, I mean, it's our duty here as ambassadors for Walker to make sure that this asshole doesn't tarnish Chuck Norris's name.
Yeah, come on now. At this point in time, if Chuck Norris were there, he would be the most high-profile person there.
Oh, yeah.
But they've yet to find a celebrity that was there. They found a gold medal Olympian and some politicians, but...
I got one. John Schaefer, the guitarist for this metal band Iced Earth.
Oh, yeah, I read about that. And people have started making, like, mock Iced Earth album covers because he was in it. Have you seen any of those? That's pretty awesome. Well, not awesome, but...
Yeah. And then that gold medal swimmer was there as well, wearing his Olympic coat, which is super bright.
Well, if you're going to do it, you got to do it in red, white, and blue. And
I consider myself an aficionado of all things Olympics, and I did not recognize this guy's name. So I'm assuming he won his gold while part of a relay team with Michael Phelps. That's my guess.
Let's be honest here. You were just looking at the Speedo, Evan.
Yeah, of course.
Why don't we check the actual mailbag here? I got a random package that was just sent to my house, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I open it up, and there are 2 letters in it, and it's from our fellow UMass Lowell alumni, Andrew Karacha. And he was also in the drum department, Bob, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Great drummer. He apparently had meant to send me a letter, forgot about it, and so he wrote a follow-up letter in March 2020 to explain why the first letter was delayed. Well, when he was playing with our friend's band, The Big Lonesome, our friend Chad has a great band out there. They're kind of like I hate to say indie rock, but just good singer-songwriter rock. If you're into that, check it out, The Big Lonesome. And they came and stopped by here in Nashville, and we saw them. And Andy was playing drums with them at the time. And they crashed at our place here. And, of course, we watched Walker, Texas Ranger that night. Okay. I woke up the next morning to Andy doing Tai Chi in our living room. Just like he was probably just meditating on the Walker episodes we watched.
Reflecting.
Adam was mostly shocked because it's the only time that exercise has happened in that room.
That's very true. I usually exercise my mind when I watch Walker. That's really the only other exercise I do. Yeah,
it's a light lift.
Yeah, but he apparently had something he'd been meaning to send me since they came here about 5 years ago, and he sent it along with these letters, and that's what he was explaining. And let me see if I can get the camera down.
Adam didn't actually sell the bike.
Oh.
I've just been trolling you for
This
2
is all
weeks.
an elaborate ruse.
Wow.
So, Evan, the bike is here.
That's
You're
way
welcome.
too much effort.
You're welcome to come get it anytime you want, Evan. I've got the bike here waiting for you.
What if Evan bought another bike in the meantime? What would you do
So
then?
this could be very deep. So do Mom and Dad know that you have the bike?
Oh, yeah. They know.
Oh, so they're in on this too then.
Yeah, we've been trolling you for 2 weeks.
I didn't know if it makes any difference.
Thanks, Bob.
But he did actually send me something.
Nice.
Oh, all right.
So, listeners, Andy sent me a Coca-Cola, and you know how they have names on it. This one says Walker. But he cautioned to not open it because it's been sitting around for 5 years. So this one is merely a collectible only, but this will definitely go up there with my Walker memorabilia. I'll have to put this in a safe, I think.
Yeah, I would.
I'd put it in a Ziploc bag first.
Yeah, and also.
Survival conditions here. But shout out to Andy, amazing drummer, great friend, and he was at the time practicing Tai Chi. So he also knows what's up and is a connoisseur of Walker. What do you guys see next here in the chain?
So I'm assuming that somebody actually purchased a Ranger Team Camp sweater.
For listeners out there who haven't listened to our podcast, Last Hope, which stars Mila Kunis and Terry Kaiser, we made a recreation of the Ranger Team Camp sweatshirt, and it's available on our merch shop at roundhouseroulette.com. And I mentioned that we kind of put this up there as a joke, daring anyone to buy it, and that if anybody bought this sweatshirt, I could die a happy man. I believe those were my words.
Someone clearly wants to make Adam happy. A happy customer in Pennsylvania purchased one of these puppies.
We want to give a shout out to Kayla, who picked this fresh thread up on our online shop, and for just letting me die happy, because this exists in the world, and we want to wish you all the best luck starting your own Ranger Team Camp. And we really appreciate it, the support. But speaking of which, so those were made to order prints, and we're going to come up hopefully with a few more items soon that we recreate items that are used as props in actual Walker episodes. But we also wanted to have a Roundhouse Roulette t-shirt that was made by a local print shop here in Nashville. And you guys want to check out that Dropbox link?
Looks good. Hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
Wow.
Our bud Bruno at Merch Inc. here in Nashville sent me a video of him coming off the press, and these are sharp, guys. I mean,
They look good. They look real good.
I'm going to be picking these up tomorrow. They'll be available on our website. The official Roundhouse Roulette t-shirt, 2-color silkscreen on a high-quality, comfortable black t-shirt. And unfortunately, it doesn't come with scissors, so you can cut the sleeves off, but most people have their own scissors, you know. We appreciate everybody who supported us on our online shop, and look forward to more ridiculous merch items coming out soon.
Well, we've got a lot to cover this week. So let's get on into it. If you're watching along at home and don't want any spoilers, hit pause and watch Season 4, Episode 13, Flashpoint. And then come right back to us. Welcome back. Let's dig into this beast. This episode originally aired on January 13th, 1996. It opens up on not just one helicopter, but two.
I was expecting some turmoil with those helicopters, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking there'd be some hijinks.
And there were, just not with helicopters.
Yeah, these helicopters apparently are flying some form of security detail at some nondescript field attached to the building of a tech mogul. But it had all these international flags out front. And Walker and Trevette are basically running some sort of security detail because Adam McGuire is in town. And I don't know if you guys have heard, but he's pretty much a big deal.
He does have a great name.
Oh, yeah. And Adam McGuire is visiting from Ireland, and he is a major proponent of peace during times of major violence. Remember, this is 1996, so we're in the midst of, some unrest up there in Northern Ireland. And this guy is basically proposing that everyone sit down at the table and work for peace. But that's not a popular way of thinking.
Now, he was an ex-member of the IRA. Is that correct?
It would seem that way.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad you framed all that up because it was kind of hard to pick up, actually, between the chopper blades and pretty much anything that happens in the episode.
And choppy dialogue.
Yeah.
And the tin flute music at the beginning. Like, before you even hear any of the people talk, you're already like, it's probably going to have something to do with Ireland.
Sounds like my heart will go on.
It did sound like that. And then the camera was following the choppers, and then it came down right next to a bunch of international flags, and the one closest was the Irish flag.
So for some reason, this Irish peacekeeper, Adam McGuire, is in town in Dallas en route to Washington.
He took the long way. They actually went east from Ireland.
Yeah, but we do learn that the owner of this tech company that he's giving a speech in front of is owned by another former Irishman named Duncan McCallum. And we learned during the speech that Adam McGuire is apparently receiving a Nobel Peace Prize. But, we don't really care about any of this stuff. I think, like most Walker watchers, we kind of shut down when we hear a foreign accent. And in this case, the accents are special.
They're brutal.
I feel like we should get this out of the way right now because otherwise I'll just keep talking about it.
Yeah.
I think we'll keep talking about him no matter what, Bob. But some fantastic fake Irish accents here.
Yeah.
And the people are not Irish at all.
No, I think I looked it up. Nobody in the cast is from Ireland.
Probably not. Now, I will say, if we didn't get our fill of Irish accents from this episode, the character Adam McGuire does return in a couple seasons. And if Adam McGuire looks familiar from somewhere else, it might be because the actor Michael Beck is in a bunch of other random B films, including Xanadu. But most importantly, he plays a lumberjack in Forest Warrior.
I've never seen that one.
And that gif that we send around where Chuck Norris's character in Forest Warrior grabs the chainsaw blade and the guy cutting the tree looks up, that's this guy.
Okay, wow. So there's already just out in circulation a gif of this.
Of this guy with Chuck Norris.
Wow, Forest Warrior. I've never seen that. We'll have to dig into that one then.
Oh, for sure. I think that's definitely a special episode.
That's definitely an Earth Day one.
Definitely. Okay, so anyways, we know that something foul is afoot because, it's a Walker episode and it's a teaser. So far, we've just heard a bunch of gobbledygook about diplomats and world peace. And so we're just waiting for something to happen. And during the speech, we see that this cameraman, he pulls like a detonator out of his camera and blows up a news van across the street.
And that van flips.
Oh,
it flies. Yeah. The production crew, as we've learned, I think they really liked that explosion.
It was amazing. Like, he hits the detonator, right? And the car in the background just blows up. Everyone scatters like, what is going on? And the car's in air and flips over.
I don't know if you've seen that video from the 70s of when like the whale washes up on the beach.
Yeah.
And they decide to
Blow it
fill it full of dynamite and blow it up. Like that's the easiest way to get rid of it. And so they detonate this whale and like it still leaves half the whale on the beach. And then the other half becomes airborne and like minutes later is still raining down from the sky.
So awesome.
Like flaming blubber.
Yeah.
That's what this van is doing.
So there's a bunch of press people there, all with their video cameras and stuff, and random people in the crowd there who wanted to hear this random Irish guy. And it seems like Walker and Trevette are the only security there. It's almost like the Capitol Police Force here. That's all I can think of after this last week.
Well, yeah, except they really stop things from going down. And they take prisoners.
Well, you do have Chuck Norris on board, and he was actually at this one. So.
The real Chuck Norris.
Yeah, the real Chuck Norris was at this press conference in this episode, not in real life.
So, yeah, this black, like, Ford Explorer rolls up with people in ski masks just, like, shooting wildly. And, yeah, the cameraman drops his detonator and pulls a tiny gun from his ankle socks.
So the cameraman who had the detonator, right, he pulled his gun from the compartment on his video camera that usually has a cassette tape in it.
Oh, I thought he got the detonator out of that. Okay.
No. The gun was out of it. And it was like a weird, almost like medieval pistol or something like that he had it. They were probably like, find us a gun that fits inside a mini DV tape. Right as this angry cameraman's about to assassinate Adam McGuire, who is giving the speech, Walker shoots the cameraman in the shoulder and prevents the attack.
And the black 4x4 drives off. Trevette calls in the vehicle, but it's clearly dubbed over, and it's like someone else's voice saying, late model, black 4x4. It almost sounds like Chuck Norris saying it.
And Trevette is like, he's walking while he's saying it, and I don't think he has a phone with him. It's almost like he has like an earpiece or something, but I don't think they had that technology at the time.
They were ahead of the times, though.
And also in this section, I think before Chuck shoots the guy in the shoulder, he says, "Look out!"
He says, "Freeze!" That's another terrible overdub. It sounds nothing like him.
Yeah, it's not him either. So,
yeah.
So there was a Chuck Norris impersonation at this rally as well, I guess.
Oh yeah, I guess there was.
True. So yeah, Walker's taken the would-be assassin into custody, and that guy comes face to face with Adam McGuire, and they recognize each other. And Adam McGuire, for the sake of exposition, says, "Gavin Malloy."
He says, "Flubber McGiggins."
Shiver me timber.
Wiggly wobbins. Yeah.
Oh, me pot of gold, it's Gavin Malloy. Cue the tin whistles and credits.
Man, I would love to hear the Walker theme done in tin whistle.
No, you wouldn't.
I think I have a tin whistle, so I'll see if I can overdub it over our theme song.
I've got one. My wife is really big into that show Outlander, and she's really not into me playing the tin whistle. So, but I'm not super keen into Outlander, so they often coincide.
You are super into playing the tin whistle.
Very much so, yeah. I know like 3 songs on the tin whistle. One is the one from The Hobbit. One is My Heart Will Go On. And then one is the one that's in Outlander. That's all I know.
I think our aunt gave us these for Christmas one year, and Marie must want to kill our aunt.
Yeah, she's not big into that. She doesn't really like the melodica either. You know, both acquired tastes, so I can't really blame her.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I love playing both of them.
The most annoying instruments in the world. Played by Evan Dalton.
Yep, I'm into that. Kazoo, slide whistle, I got one of those. Recorder, big into recorder.
Recorder might be the worst of them all.
The recorder is Evan's specialty.
Love me some of that. All right. So cue to credits, and then we come back and we see a prison scene where Gavin Malloy is now behind bars, and he's talking to a priest.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, is the priest in on this? And I think the confusion with the plot on this was not really sure what the point of this episode is. And right, I mean, it seems like they were mixing up like some hate of Northern and Southern Ireland with Catholic and Protestant or something like that. But I couldn't really discern, as a person who doesn't know a lot about the historical biases about that culture, I didn't really pick up what was going on.
There it is. I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Then again, I think the average person watching Walker, Texas Ranger in 1996 was also probably not super aware of what was going on in Ireland at the time.
Do you want me to jump in and school y'all?
Mr. Brendan Leahy.
Yeah.
I can't even do an Irish. I'm not going to even. Okay.
Mr. Brendan Leahy, could you enlighten us as to the conflicts that were happening up north of Great Britain?
Yeah, well, the short story is that the Republic, the South, is historically Catholic, right? And when they split off from the UK, they kept Northern Ireland, and that became kind of more Protestant. And then, so yeah, that's the only reason I think they bring in the Catholic priest in the church.
So, yeah, I don't know. The priest and Malloy have some weird exchange in the prison, and apparently Malloy admitted something to the priest in confidence, but we don't know what that is. Back at the courthouse, looks like the feds are in town, and we get a little who's who of the Ranger team. This is basically us witnessing the intel that the other would-be assassins are going through. And these assassins are much younger than Gavin Malloy. They're like in their 20s or 30s. And they're all probably fresh out of acting school. And this is acting school that it's just everyone for themselves trying to figure out what an Irish accent sounds like. This has to be one of my favorite scenes we've seen so far. I was laughing the entire time.
And these guys, right, they're the van that got away earlier in the episode when Gavin got captured after he got shot by Walker. So they're kind of doing a reconnaissance mission to see who has Gavin captive and try to find a way to get him out. And they're outside the courthouse. I guess they're posing as a video crew.
They've got the camera set up. It's like this tiny little camcorder that's presumably pointed outside of the vehicle. And then it's going through a live feed onto a monitor in their van. They see like footage of Walker and like, that's Cordell Walker. He was first in his class.
It's not Cordell Walker. What is it, Bob?
Cordell Walker? I don't know.
There you go. That was pretty close.
Yeah. And then they actually mispronounce Trivet's name as well. They call him Trivet.
Trivet.
Yeah. Jimmy Trivet.
Trisket.
Yep. Let me paint the picture of the team here. This is the crack team. You get the ringleader of the group, which we learn is actually Gavin Malloy's son. His name is Derek Malloy. He looks like Bono. And then we've got his girlfriend, whom we don't learn her real name until the last 30 seconds of the episode. So we're just calling her Girl. She looks like Dolores O'Riordan or something from the Cranberries. Then we've got the Muscle, which is a guy with long blonde hair who, when he shoots a gun, his body like gyrates. Amazing. There's the Kid, who we see like 20 seconds and they mention once. And then there's Ryan, and Ryan is the driver. And Ryan is the one that they always yell at.
He's a troublemaker.
Yeah. So yeah, they see Alex Cahill.
Cahill. An Irish lass.
Right. And this is my favorite exchange. Derek's like, an Irish lass? What's she doing with the likes of them? Then Ryan, the doubter in front, says, I thought we came here to kill Adam McGuire. What the hell do these people have to do with that? Then the girl goes, it's called homework, Ryan. And then Derek says, my favorite line in this is, they got me da, and I'll die before I let him rot in prison. Now you shut your moo. And then the girl goes, we'll get him back, Derek. And that's it.
Wow, man.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's like a roundhouse reenactment right there.
I love it so much.
Yeah, a one-man show.
I think to give our listeners an idea of how terrible these accents are, if you've ever seen Back to the Future Part 3, that is all I could think of when these people were talking.
Right, it's like a combination of like a Lucky Charms mixed with like a Scottish accent with like Italian in there, maybe. Like I don't, or Spanish. I don't know why they're rolling their R's like that. It's exciting.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
Of course, like I was thinking at the time, that, okay, so this priest is visiting the guy in prison. Like there's going to be a record of this, and sure enough, there was. So Walker's like, why did this priest go and visit this guy? I'll go check him out. And so he asked the priest, and the priest is like, well, confession, man. I can't talk about this. This is like, confession is to this episode what like diplomatic immunity was to that previous episode, And so Walker's like, well, you're going to have to, make up your mind what's more important. I guess God or the law?
Yeah, it was a weird ethical shakedown Walker was giving the Catholic Church. Which, fair enough. I mean, maybe that's what we need to do to clean up the Catholic Church is just to send Walker in there.
Hindsight, baby.
Yeah, we'll have to loop back on that when we're evaluating the episode here.
Yeah.
Yep. So then we get a little insight into this is another acting exercise for the new acting school graduates. And we see Girl. And Girl is...
Dolores O'Riordan, Cranberries lead singer, kind of in like a... she's always dressed in black, and she kind of looks like she came straight out of a comic book, too. Comic book chick villain.
Yeah. Now, this actress is Sarah Buxton, and you'll be surprised to know she's not actually from Ireland.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah. Her biggest role, besides this episode, of course, was Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which is actually a film I've seen.
Yeah, that's classic.
It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You don't know what you're going to get when you go into it. And from the title, it seems like it would be really gruesome, but it ends up being like a wholesome coming-of-age tale.
Okay. All right. Can we get back to the story here? Yeah.
Back to Walker here. So she's staring into a mirror, and...
she's talking to herself in a mirror to make sure she has her story straight for when she has to talk to the police. And we're like, what is happening? She's like, do bad guys really do this? Do they rehearse their lies in front of a mirror? I think good bad guys can actually lie without having to do it into a mirror, right?
This is maybe the most convincing acting that anyone does in the episode.
Well, I mean, she was playing off herself in the mirror. So.
Like, I don't know where I come down. Is she really poorly trying to reenact something really well, or doing a very good job of reenacting something very poorly? I don't know.
I was thinking the former when I watched it.
I'm fooled. I'm very fooled.
Well, she fooled herself in the mirror, so then she knew that she was able to fool somebody else, and that's really the only way you'll ever know.
So, she's doing that while Derek is brooding. I believe this is when we learned that Derek is Gavin Malloy's son, although we really don't care. So he's like, I gotta get my dog back. And she's like, Walker, we gotta get Walker. He's the key to McGuire. And cut to Walker's office, and Trevette is facing off against FBI agent Fisher.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. They made a female FBI agent. She was kind of giving Trevette the business. It's like, look, you're going to do what I say, Trevette. But while he's talking to her,
Walker's getting the business from Girl. She tells him that her name is Tracy, so we get a fake name for her at this point. So now she's known as Tracy.
Yeah.
Tracy O'Neill. We got to double down on these Irish names.
For those keeping track at home, we've got a McGuire, we've got a McCallum, we've got a Malloy, and now we've got an O'Neill.
We're just waiting on a bloomin' Murphy.
It's a very weird scene because Walker is entirely asexual.
Yeah, he's all business. And she came into the station, I guess, to give her side of the story, maybe on her own volition, you're left to believe. Oh, she just showed up and said, hey, I don't have to work or anything. I was there, so I'm going to go into the police station and just tell you what I saw, even though you probably have a million other witnesses who saw it better than me. And you have no idea if I was there or not because she actually was in the sketchy van and no one saw her. So Walker has no idea that this chick is bad. So that's how she's able to go into the police station and just make up the story. And so Walker's listening to her tell the story that she rehearsed into the mirror, which we had to sit through again.
I would say it's even worse this time.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
You're like, oh no, she's bad. Walker, don't fall for it. And while she's telling this story to him, Trevette comes in with the FBI agent and kind of spills some information about where Adam McGuire is and all this stuff to this girl in front of her after Walker was being tight-lipped about the information. And we just see the vixen kind of soaking in the information. And then after Trevette settles his deal with the FBI agent, it kind of cuts back to Walker and her.
And she's like, well, how do I get in touch with you if I have any further information? So he gives her his card, which apparently was like the goal of her getting there, was to get Walker's phone number.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah, so she takes his card and she goes from being like hard-headed, really tough, and then she switches on like the vulnerable. I was so scared during this thing, but it's like if you were really rattled during that, you wouldn't have acted bold to begin with. And then once she gets his card, she like gives him this sultry look, gets up, gives him another sultry look, and then walks away, and the camera like goes down to her butt as she walks out the door.
Yeah,
and then Trevette breaks away from talking with Detective Fisher, and he like gives this weird oogle look looking in her direction too or something. It's very strange.
It was very Twin Peaks to me. It was like whenever Agent Cooper ever dealt with Audrey, because Agent Cooper is very asexual, Kyle MacLachlan's character in that, and he's an FBI agent, but he's dealing with this bombshell vixen, Audrey. It was very similar around the same time period too.
I mean, I'm sure they're playing off each other.
Oh, most definitely.
So, cut to a scene in the woods that looks like a 90s music video.
Maybe a Cranberries music video?
It totally does.
Yeah, they should have been train tracks, but...
Exactly. Definitely with the box cars. Yeah. So, at this point, it's Girl, a.k.a. Vixen, a.k.a. Fake Tracy, Derek, and Ryan are they're just standing around in the woods with guns, and Ryan starts to voice his concerns, and he's like, why are we bothering getting your dad out? He failed, and he's sort of getting pretty slow. I would have taken out McGuire immediately, which is true. Like, Malloy had to get his tiny little pea shooter out of the camera. Like, that seems really inefficient. Anyways, Girl says, why don't you voice your opinion, Ryan? That's all she says is Ryan. And he voices his opinion, then she shoots him. So
with the approval of the other guy, though.
Derek
Malloy. I'm like, Ryan, can't you see these guys are like looking back at each other like, should I kill him? And you keep talking? Shut up, Ryan.
I mean, Ryan looked the least Irish of all of them, so it makes sense that they would kill him.
Yeah. And is Pipsqueak still around?
Yeah, he's behind a tree.
Yeah.
He comes out and he's like, what was that? And they're like, here comes the convoy.
So the unnamed Irish villain chick, Vixen, overheard while she was in the police station that they were transporting the old man, Gavin Malloy. So that's what they were doing, waiting out in the woods, was to intercept this convoy so that they could free and break out Gavin Malloy, who is trying to kill the peacekeeper, Adam McGuire. Confused yet? Let's just get to this convoy. So this convoy is a 3-vehicle convoy, and in the front and back cars are essentially expendable unnamed agents.
Yeah.
And in the middle vehicle is Gavin Malloy, who they're trying to break free, and the FBI agent who was talking to Trevette at the ranger station earlier. And so we see these 3 vehicles roll up, and we're like, oh no, the bad Irish people are in the woods. What are they planning? Well, they show in the middle of the road, of course, C4, an explosive device. And they wait until the first car rolls right over the bomb, and they hit the detonator, and that puppy just blows up to the sky high, right? And so the FBI agent's inside with Gavin Malloy, like, what is going on? And then they pan to the last car in the convoy, and it's like these nameless FBI agents, right? And they show them kind of like, what is going on? And then they pan back to one of the Irish guys in the woods, and he's got like a rocket launcher, right?
Oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, no, what do we do? I guess we sit here. And they sit there as the rocket comes and blows them up.
They watch it, and we watch it too, as that thing just flies through the air and sails into the FBI vehicle And their expressions are amazing, right?
Yeah, the camera work is really great here.
It looks like they've got like a green screen behind them too. They look
Yeah.
very weird.
The guy driving the car is like has this like goofy expression. They zoom in on him like he sees he's about to die, and then it goes back to the guy with a rocket launcher and he fires it, and then it goes back to the guy in the car and it zooms in again.
Right, like and the
It's just
only
like-
thing in that shot, like the only thing behind the car is just like blue sky. So it
Yeah.
almost looks like a shot from like a kids' TV show.
Yeah.
It was amazing. That might have been one of the best segments there.
In the same scene, though, we have our friend, the Crazy Eyes guy, showing why he's Crazy Eyes.
Oh, yeah,
he's
the
got the standard issue Uzi, and he's shooting it while he's just jumping around, and he's got this crazy look on his face, like his eyes are all bugged out. Ah, it's unreal.
Yeah. So they essentially were like, oh man, they took out both the front and back vehicle. That leaves the FBI agent in there with Gavin Malloy, who they're trying to break out. So they bust in.
Yeah, and the other cops in the car are kind of like, they don't really put up a fight against the muscle. Unfortunately, Agent Fisher meets her demise. And I was actually very confused because whatever her name is, girl,
Let's just call her Irish Vixen.
the Irish Vixen,
Yeah.
the Irish Vixen is basically standing over Agent Fisher, and Agent Fisher's like, bitch.
Yeah. Batch.
And
Because
then
she knows she's going to
then-
be killed.
Yeah, and then the Vixen aims her gun, and we see sparks. I kind of just assumed that the gun was shot out of her hand, but it was not, because the next scene, we see Walker and Trevette pull up on the scene, and unfortunately, Agent Fisher is dead. Walker's, like, real pissed now, so he figures that the priest knows something, and so it's this weird scene where there's, like, a choir up in the, what would you call it, up in
The loft of a church. I don't know.
yeah.
But a lot of churches are set up like this, where in the back is where the choir is, and then the congregation sits underneath. So a lot of churches are set up this way. But the children's choir is singing, and the priest is just, I don't know if he's sweeping or something when Walker walks in.
No, he's sitting there staring at the choir, so it's a little
sure.
weird. It's uncomfortable.
Why? And he's not enjoying the music. I mean, it doesn't have to be like malfeasance when a priest is hanging around with kids.
Kind of does, though.
That privilege has not been earned, I think, at this point.
I mean, you just got to have faith. But okay, so what do we got going on here?
So Walker just totally busts in the middle of Ave Maria, walks right up to the priest, and he's like, hey, I want you to look at this photo of a dead person. And the priest is all like, I don't know what I can do for you. And Walker's like, well, you think about this and come to me when you come to your senses or whatever. So he walks out, and just as he walks out, Vixen is creeping in the choir. She's just hanging out up there, and she just does like this long stare, like death stare down at the priest. It's
Yeah,
really
down
weird.
from the balcony. Like she kind of comes out and walks in front of the children's choir, and nobody in the children's choir acknowledges her. So it's even weirder.
So Walker and Trevette back at the office. They're kind of running into dead ends here. They got nothing to go off of, and now they've obviously had to take over the case now that Fisher's out of the picture. And they don't know what to do, but Trevette gets a phone call, and apparently McGuire is not going to be staying in his little hideout, Duncan McCallum's office building. He's actually decided to go to a meeting. So they're like super pissed. They're like, he shouldn't be out there. He's going to get murdered. Well, I guess we better go intercept this. And I guess the spy van picks up on this too, because they know that he's out too. I'm assuming that's the only way they know about this. So anyways, we see this office building where apparently McGuire is set to show up. And so his gray 90s limo pulls up, and we see the spy van, Irish Vixen. She's staring through a sniper scope, ready to take this dude out. And she's about to pull up the trigger when a large obstruction gets in her way.
A familiar Dodge Ram, and blocks the shot. And Walker and Trevette get out, and they're like, hey, what are you doing out here? You're not supposed to go anywhere without letting us know. The guy's like, it's either here or there, and I'm going to keep my mission of peace going, and, I'm going to die someday, and it's better to be doing something in the name of peace. It still was kind of confusing, but I think that's kind of what he was saying, right?
if I die, someone else is going to take over for me, and everything will be fine.
Yeah,
pretty much.
The logic didn't totally track, but we knew what he was trying to say. He was trying to get over to the next action segment. And the next action segment was pretty amazing because what we experienced was an actual Walker Texas Ranger Spidey sense.
Yeah, it's called the Cherokee sense. Yeah.
It kind of communicated that this guy's about to get shot, and he dove and saved the Irishman.
So, sniper attempt foiled, and the goons regroup, and this is when we really truly learn that they're just hanging out in the church basement.
Right.
Which, I guess that's what the Irish terrorists do. They find the nearest Catholic church in town, and they just apparently
they've got free reign.
They extort the priest into letting them stay in the basement,
Right.
which is what we've learned. Apparently, this priest who's like 70-something has a mother in Ireland still that they're holding a hostage.
Right, the mother must be ancient. That's what I was thinking. I was like, good for her.
She's definitely older than Chuck Norris's mom at this point. Anyways, that's apparently what they have over this priest. And as they're regrouping, Walker and Trevette are also regrouping, and Walker gets a call from Tracy.
The vixen.
Oh, yeah. And Tracy's all like, I've been talking with Irish people. They've heard some things, and I have some more details to share with you. And Walker's all like, okay, tell me. And she's like, I was going to get Chinese food. And she puts on like this whole act, and Walker's just like totally unfazed. And she's like, would you like to come join me? And he's like, okay. And then she hangs up, and Derek's like, oh, you really put on the charm. He can't resist. And he's like, be careful. And she's like, I'm not worried. And she says, I'd sleep with Satan for Ireland.
That was the one. Yeah, I forgot.
Like, what?
I'd sleep with Satan for Ireland. Yeah. So this girl's willing to do anything, including Satan.
Basically, Walker's got date night. And Trevette's like, what's that all about? And Walker's like, could be nothing, or it could be something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Great line. And
And
Best
at this
line.
point, so Alex and him aren't really a thing, or are they on and off again? I don't know that they've actually kind of bridged that.
This is season 4. There's had to have been some tension there between Walker and Alex. Like, even in season 1, I would think there's some.
Yeah.
So this is weird.
Yeah, so just the fact that he would be potentially going on a booty call, which is kind of one of the perks of being a Texas Ranger.
Oh, yeah,
it
definitely.
must happen all the time, this kind of thing.
So this is like easily one of the most bizarre scenes that follows. And we basically see inside Tracy's apartment. And the first thing we see is like this brown slip dress getting pulled down over like a garter belt that's holding a knife. And it's like this dress is just like barely concealing the knife that's on her upper thigh as she walks around the corner with like some Chinese food and sits on the couch. And Walker's just like sitting on the couch awkwardly. She brings some Chinese food over and she's like, I've never learned how to use chopsticks. He's like, let me show you.
Yeah, he's like, let me show you. And he puts his arm around her, right?
Yeah, come on, man. You got to take any opening you can get. And that is a clear opening. She doesn't get a bite of General Tso's chicken in before they kiss? I think in this case, it's safe to describe it as smash face.
Yeah.
And she kind of pushes him onto the couch and climbs on top of him, right?
Not really. Like, they just sort of fall over.
Yeah.
And he's, like, got his arm, like a zombie arm around her. And she's, like, smushing her face onto his.
Right.
But, like, I can understand, like, he's got that beard. So you don't want to be, like, moving that much. It's like Brillo.
Yeah, totally. She's like on top of him, and you're like, whoa, Walker is getting some in this episode. I've never seen this before. And he was kind of, I'll show you how to use those chopsticks, and went in for the kill. She reaches down, and she realizes, oh, the knife's missing.
Classic.
Of course, we know Walker has it immediately.
Looking for this? Bastard! How did you know? Your performance was a little weak. You're under arrest.
Oh, nice.
Hashtag acting slam.
Oh,
So she's like, get him! And then guys bust down the door and open fire with machine guns, including a hip gyrating guy. And Walker, of course, jumps over the couch and is able to get behind the counter before the guys all run away. It's pretty intense. Oh, of course, Walker pulls his gun out of his boot, too, which is pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like just they lit that apartment up with bullets, and he's hiding behind this nasty couch. And then someone like tosses in a grenade, right?
Yeah, they do. And he jumps behind the bar and it blows up. Anyways, date night cut short by machine gun fire, which I guess is better than getting cut short by being stabbed by Irish vixen woman. They escape with their lives, as does Walker. He's getting Trevette to do a mock-up of this woman's face on the computer.
Right.
Which is pointless because we don't see it ever again. But they get a call from the priest, and the priest is like, I don't know what to do. But he basically indicates that the gang is hanging out at the church.
And he's like, I just can't live with myself if I didn't help you out. And, you know, there's been too much murder and all this stuff. And again, the plot is really thin as opposed to, it's hard to explain why the priest did it because we're not exactly sure what the motives of the bad guys are, clearly because we're not, you know, well versed with Irish hate crimes.
For sure. So Walker and Trevette are like, oh man, we got to go visit this church. But then we see inside the spy van and they're listening to that conversation. They're like, oh man, the priest, he's onto us.
Right. And they have a sweet tape machine just rolling tape on it.
Yep. And they're like, oh, here's a conversation from a while back too about where McGuire is. Oh, he's at the place where we almost assassinated him the first time. Like, he hasn't moved at all. So, you know, everything's coming to a head here. So Walker and Trevette, they go to visit the church while the gang is going to take out McGuire. So Walker and Trevette, they get to the church. Boom. Priest is dead. Oh my God. They must have been here. Let's check it out. So they go down, they find the lair, and their detective work detects that they left in a hurry, which must mean that they know where McGuire is. Let's go find McGuire. Cut to McGuire in the office building with his buddy. Lights get cut out. It's nighttime now for some reason.
The phones also get cut out too.
It's dark now. Hashtag stealth mode. Hashtag die hard. Let's do this.
Hashtag Nakatomi Plaza.
Exactly.
Once the lights went out, they showed the building from the ground. That shot, I'm just like, we're going Die Hard now, aren't we? Yeah.
I'm like, are we going to get Carl Winslow in this one too?
We should be so lucky.
So they condense like the plot of Die Hard into the last 10 minutes of this episode.
Pretty much. Immediately, as soon as the lights go out, right? McGuire says to McCallum, like, oh, they're here. Do you have any weapons? He's totally comfortable with dying. And he's just awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. And he's asking if he got any guns.
And then his buddy, he goes, of course, I'm Irish.
Yeah.
And he opens
I'm Irish, top drawer. So, yeah, building totally under siege. Of course, the hired guns who are supposed to guard the building, totally useless. Gyrating machine gun guy takes him out super easy.
In epic fashion, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Walker and Trevette, they show up on the scene, and they start mopping up the mess. And Gavin Malloy's like, I'm going to take out McGuire. So this old guy, Gavin Malloy's running around trying to find McGuire. Trevette, he starts following the Vixen and Derek, while Walker has a nice little showdown with the Muscle, which is super epic. We see a vintage roundhouse kick finisher.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best fight of the episode. Walker really does throw down and do some actual fighting. It was a little short, but there were some cool moves. What were some of the moves he did?
Well, Walker took a punch to the face. Just kind of surprising.
That's how you know it's an early episode.
Right, yeah.
Also, Bob, sound effects.
Outstanding as always.
They weren't thunderous.
Yeah, they weren't quite as over the top as the later seasons. Maybe there's a lot more guns in the earlier seasons, so the gun sound effects were.
I mean,
were
the
pretty
guns
wild.
are like twice as loud as any dialogue in this episode.
Yeah.
So you have to like turn your TV up to hear the dialogue, but then when the guns happen, you're just like, I can't hear anymore.
This guy gets one good hit in, and then Walker flips him over. He's like, what do I do now? He looks to his right and sees a table. And so he karate kicks the table and takes the table leg. Oh, and he like throws the top of the table aside, but it flies away so fast it's clearly like styrofoam.
Yeah.
God damn.
And then he grabs the table leg and he swings it at Walker, but Walker quickly grabs his arm, like twists his arm, and then incapacitates the guy just long enough for him to jumping spin roundhouse kick the guy through a freestanding plate of glass.
To just happen to be there. Like they wheeled it in just to have him. It was like,
Amazing.
This isn't like part of like the structure of this room. It was just, a freestanding plate of glass. It was just like, please knock someone through me, Walker. Please.
Please do it in slow motion.
And Walker obliged.
Yes, I'm glad he did.
And right while this is happening, Malloy catches up with McGuire. Malloy's got McGuire's buddy McCallum in the sights, but then...
No, Malloy is the bad guy?
Malloy's the bad guy, yep.
Okay.
The elder Malloy, too.
Yep, the elder Malloy. And McGuire's like, don't do it, Malloy. And they have some sort of showdown or something. But Malloy turns to shoot McGuire, and McGuire shoots him in the heart. Guy's out.
And you're like, I guess it was in self-defense, but this is the guy that's preaching peace.
Yeah, he's about to accept a Nobel Peace Prize, and he just murdered a fool.
And he was the one who was like, hey, I'm going to die sometime anyway. It doesn't really matter. He could have put down his gun and taken the bullet, and then they could have been mourning him at the end of the episode because he was preaching peace. Instead, they had him just shoot a guy in the heart, which he would. It was all in self-defense. But again, I'm just trying to find a thread here to follow on this plot. The main bad guy's down. But what's left is his son in the Vixen, who we don't know her name yet. And so we're like, oh man, Walker and Trevette and the rest of the gang are going to have to go after them. And they're in one of the top floors of this building, this office building, like in Die Hard. And they're like kind of congregated in a room. And what happens here?
Trevette tags Derek with a shot to the hip or something.
Right.
So Derek is wounded.
Right, and they're kind of cornered. Who tells them that his dad is dead?
McGuire does.
McGuire,
The peacekeeper.
Yeah, he's like, I killed your dad, basically.
He doesn't say, I killed your dad. He just says, your dad's dead.
Yeah,
Right,
you were thinking
right.
he was going to fess up to it, but he doesn't.
And then Derek goes, me dad's dead?
Me da.
Me dad's dead? No! Yeah, then we find out that the girl's name was actually Jane.
Well, we don't find that out yet.
I thought we did right then.
No. He's like, oh, me dad's dead. And then Vixen's like, let's go home. And they slow-mo to like some weird, probably made just for this episode, Irish guy singing some ballad or something. Slow-mo run towards the window. Just at that period of time, the lights come on because they got the power back on. Walker, Trevette, and McGuire bust through the door just in time to see these two running towards a window to commit suicide. And Walker cries out, Jane! But it's too late. They both jump through a window and self-Lazarus, and it fades to black. After some artistic shots of glass falling.
And some mannequins being thrown out of the building. They show that too, right?
Real weird ending, though, right? I mean, like...
Pretty dark ending. It doesn't leave you with a moral lesson, really.
Nah.
It just leaves you like, I'm still confused at what I just saw. Right?
Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
Her name was Jane?
How did he figure that out?
I mean, it is Walker. I mean, once he kisses a girl, he knows everything about her.
Well, that about sums up this episode. We'd like to give a shout out to our friend and collaborator, Adam Lauritsen, who's been drawing the amazing Walkerstrations on our social media. Be sure to check out his other art on Instagram at @ImaginationRunAmok. When we come back, it'll be time for us to each rate Flashpoint on a scale of 0 to 10, boots to the face, resulting in our patented Roundhouse Roulette episode ranking, the complete results of which are available on our website, roundhouseroulette.com. Don't go away.
Gosh darn it, Adam. You can't lasso a womp rat on 2 feet, let alone on horseback. Walker makes it look so easy. Oh, hey there. We here at Roundhouse Roulette have pledged to deliver the light of Walker, Texas Ranger
to the world!
If you'd like to lend us a hand in that mission, please share the pod with a friend or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It truly goes a long way in helping other Walkerites find the cast. If you'd like to impress your friends with your utter coolness, we've recently added some fresh new merch at roundhouseroulette.com. Or check out the ever-growing action on our Patreon page. Most importantly, though, thank you for listening and making this ridiculous journey of ours worthwhile. We truly have nothing better to do. Oh, here comes another one. I'm gonna get you, Womp Rat. Bullseye. I'll let you guys get back to the show.
Welcome back. So, what did you guys think of this episode?
Yeah, so, man, I'm going to give it a 5. I think it's worth the watch, but it's so convoluted, it was hard to follow, and I really tried. I turned up my TV so loud so that I could actually hear what they were saying, and all I could hear was just casings hit the ground. But this one did have some amazing moments, you know, Walker being seduced / turning the tables. I mean, that alone is worth the watch here. And there was the amazing explosions, but it just was kind of hard to follow. It was work to follow it.
Where are you at, Bob?
I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to go 6. Maybe it's just the deep connection I have with the Irish people. I found the accents a little off-putting.
Did it offend you as an Irishman? Were you offended by it?
No, it's kind of like when they have like a movie set in Boston, you have like 9 out of 10 of the people just butcher that accent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. I kind of gave it a pass on that.
Do you think this episode inspired Boondock Saints or what?
Yeah. Probably came out around the same time, didn't it?
I just looked it up. I guess Boondock Saints came out in 99, so this episode came out first.
Yeah, so this probably did. The convulsing guy or crazy eyes. The Die Hard thing at the end, the kick through the glass. Story was garbage, but whatever.
I mean, I think you guys know how I feel about this episode. I love this episode so much.
Yeah?
Yeah, it is so weird. I mean, when have we ever seen Walker have to play hard to get with somebody? Come on now.
Yeah.
That happened. Someone was trying to assassinate him on a date, and he got the upper hand. And like seconds after he's making out with some fox on a couch, he's then flipping that couch over to use as a shield from machine guns and grenades. Come on now.
Yeah.
All right. You got the ridiculously awful, Bob, you're absolutely right. Like the Boston accent of Irish accents happening here. So bad. This episode, honestly, like I totally agree that the plot was super confusing, made no sense whatsoever. And why is this happening in Dallas? I don't know. But I didn't care this episode. Like sometimes that's like to the detriment of the episode. In this case, doesn't matter. And he like ninja kicks a dude through the glass. Oh man. I mean, I want to give this a 9. I'm giving it an 8.
Ooh,
okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, that gives this episode a Roundhouse rating of 6.33 boots to the face. I think we can all agree that Irish accents should be left to the professionals, or at least the Irish. But let us know what you think on social media or by emailing us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com. When we come back, we'll spin that wheel and select next week's episode. We're back. Bob, you ready to spin that thing?
Whoa.
Oh, no.
It's a pretty serious title there.
So we got season 2, episode 3, In the Name of God. Alex tries to rescue a friend's daughter from a religious cult, but finds herself being held prisoner by the group's charismatic leader. Oh my God. Yeah, I remember this one too. This is going to be amazing. So this episode is technically the 6th episode of Walker, Texas Ranger. So that's going to be fun to jump back into that realm.
We're finally getting around to some of these vintage episodes. I like it. All right. Well, we hope you'll join us next week when we share our reactions to season 2, episode 3, In the Name of God.
Amen.
Share your opinions with us on Facebook and Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette and on Twitter at Roundhouse Pod. And rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your fine podcasts. Thanks for listening. And until next week,
may the eyes of the Ranger be upon you.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the Ranger's gonna be.